Ready, set, art. This session will be focusing on drawing a fist. Before we had to learn how to draw an open palm, so our next step, the fist. Let's get started. Now, it's going to look something like this, where essentially the hand is like this, the fingers are tucked in, and the thumb is angled just like this. Yeah, you could have it out like this, but for this drawing purpose, I want it like this so you learn how to create this knuckle in the shape. I also don't want the fingers like this where it's flat. I want them kind of tucked in so you can learn about something called foreshortening. So foreshortening is when, if my hand is coming up to you like this part down here is going to, when drawing, we're going to shorten the length, hence foreshortening or condensing. So same thing here. Instead of drawing it full out, we're going to be drawing a condensed version for that section. Okay? Now, if you're looking at this, you're probably thinking, this looks like a printout. It is. I took a picture of the drawing before I was going to paint it, and then I printed it out for this demonstration. And then the painted version later is when we learn how to do this style called abstract expressionism. That's a later video. So this is also in the workbook. If you just look, you'll see a section for drawing the fist. So first step, if we look at the fist, in this case, instead of drawing the palm first like we did with the open palm, we're going to draw the whole shape first and then do our seam measurements. So I'm looking at this fist and I'm kind of looking at this angle, and I hold my pencil like so, and I start comparing to my drawing, to my paper. See how that works? Okay, and look, this tucks in, right? Now we get to here, and then we draw our arm in. Now we might make some corrections later. That's okay, because we're just getting an initial sketch down. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the thumb in. Now look how much space this takes up. How much space? Let's do a C measurement. I'm going to hold my hand like this, like a little C, but backwards, and compare it to my hand. It's halfway. So I'm going to go ahead and put like a little mark so I know that's where my thumb is starting. Okay? And now we already created this shape before, right? We used those pencil angles to figure it out. And we'll probably correct it later as we go, because art is all about correcting, right? And that's okay. Sometimes we don't get the proportions right on the first try. Next, we're going to divide up our finger placement. So just like open palm, it was half and half and half. So find the halfway mark, put a mark there, put another halfway mark, go right there, halfway between here and another mark. Don't worry about this section, because look, the pinky tucks in. So that will work out just fine. Next, let's go ahead and figure out the shape of our fingers. Let's go ahead and do this one. I'm just kind of putting in a basic shape, and I'm shaping the knuckle while I'm at it. And if you could see, it kind of goes out further than my thumb. That's okay. Oops, I made it too far. This is why we have erasers on our pencils, to figure this out. Okay. And then I'm going to put a little mark here for this part of the knuckle. Let's go ahead and shape this knuckle. Right? And it looks like when we get to about right here, I'm going to have another knuckle and shape that part of the finger. That's the condensed version, right? Obviously, that's a shortened version to give that look as if it's tucking in instead of like this. Right? All right, next knuckle. This one, we don't see this part as much. If you don't see it, you don't draw it. That's how it works. Now let's look at the pinky. See, we're going to see this part, and then it angles in. So I'm going to kind of look at that. That's the angle of my pinky. It tucks in. I'm going to create my little base for where my nail is going to be eventually. And then I'm going to start shaping this part right here. Okay, so it's about, looks like little folds here. And then look, there's this weird little fold right there. So that's why I created that little section right there. We all have it. Okay, so looking at it, it probably needs some correcting. Looks like right there. Okay, so I'm going to correct that. Go up here and correct as well. This looks like it's out too far. That's okay. I'm going to correct that as well. Okay, no big deal. Start shaping a little bit more. See, I'm going to look at the thumb now. All right, so now I'm at this point. So this is the sketchy before we take it to that solid contour line look. This is solid contour where it looks like single lines. So we always do a sketch first so it's easy to erase compared to solid contour line. If you start with solid contour line, just like this one, when you go to erase, you're still going to see it. So you want to make sure to sketch lightly. Okay. So now I'm ready to take it to a solid contour line. I'm going to keep my fist right here just so I can see, because observation drawing means 50% of the time we're looking at the subject matter. This is the subject matter. And the other half of the time we're drawing. All right, so I lightly erased, and I'm ready for solid contour line drawing. If you accidentally make it sketchy in some areas, go back and erase it. All right, now I'm getting to that nail. That happens. Oops, made a little mistake. Oop, too round. Much better. And I think you would get the point. If I just keep going, you're essentially adding a few lines here and there till you get to the point where you're here. So we have nice solid lines, little details. Oh, and let's talk about this part. Students are always tempted to make it look like this, but in a fist, we're trying to make this condensed. So I'm going to go ahead and let's do the middle finger maybe, because that one might be easier to see what we're doing. So I'm reshaping that. I'm putting those little lines in. This is, because we're doing this, it's kind of making the skin squeeze out this way, right? So it's a little wider than usual. Okay. So I barely see the bottom. It's very short. And then here is my nail. Now instead of it going this way, because we're not looking at it from the top, it's going to go the other way, right? And so it ends up looking more like that. You'll finish the rest of the line drawing, take the picture, upload it, and then you'll move on to resting hand. When we're finished this week, we'll take one of our drawings and we'll paint it in, and I'll show this technique another time. Thank you for watching.